Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Celebrity Creators. How you doing, Brian?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to bring this guest on. How are you doing, Kathy?
I am doing absolutely awesome. Can you believe that we're here at another great week with another fantastic special guest? And so that we can just kind of move on in, we're going to introduce this gentleman tonight. His name, for those of you who may not know him, we've had his picture everywhere, is Clint Arthur. And Clint is a graduate of the Wharton Business School. A successful entrepreneur, sorry about that, a successful entrepreneur with over a decade of experience running his own business, and the best-selling author of The Last Year of Your Life, The Income Doubler, and What They Teach You at the Wharton Business School. His famous personal transformation experiences, training programs, keynote speeches, and frequent appearances on network TV and hugely syndicated radio shows inspire millions of people to go bigger in their life, to amplify their voice, live more intensely, and make a huge impact on the world. And Brian and I are so excited because Clint Arthur is going to make a huge impact here with the Celebrity Creators. Welcome to the show, Clint.
Thank you so much. It's a great privilege to be here.
The privilege is all ours, and we are honored that you are gracing our stage, so to speak, tonight. I've been so excited about this because of the topic for tonight's show. Just that alone was enough to say, man, I cannot wait to dig into this one. And as you can all see on our page, as you're watching this on celebritycreators.com, it is Steve Jobs' I always say Jobs, I don't know why, secret weapon for business success. Now that is very intriguing. As we all know, the unfortunate passing of Steve Jobs just recently, he was brilliant. So let's just dive right in. Are you okay with that, Clint? Can we just get on with it and get this secret and get it out there?
I
What
know you
was
want it. I know you want it. So
you
let's get
betcha?
to it, right? Uh,
Yes.
it's amazing, but it's a secret that I've been working with for the last couple of years, my own self, and it came out of some work that I did in a men's self-help group, where a man said to me, "You are already dead. You just don't know it yet." And I didn't know what he meant. It took me a long time to ponder, what did he really mean? What does that mean? I'm already dead. I'm already dead. And then I woke up on New Year's Day and I said to myself, if this was going to be the last year of my life, what would I want to accomplish? And that changed everything in my life. That year, I wrote a book that I had been procrastinating for a decade. It was called What They Teach You at the Wharton Business School. And I'm proud to say that even though I had stopped writing for a decade, I wrote that book that year. And just last week, that hit #2 on the Amazon.com bestseller list for entrepreneurship books. So I became a best-selling author because I was using Steve Jobs' secret weapon, and I didn't even know it yet. That year, I lost 40 pounds without joining a gym or changing my diet. I went from being an obese person weighing 236 pounds to a healthy weight again. And what a great pleasure it was to be able to bend over and tie my shoes again. Wow.
Wow.
That year, I built a factory for my gourmet food company. The factory saved the business during the Great Recession, and it was something that I had been terrified to create for 5 years because of the expense and the unknown of how do you create a state health department approved and inspected facility to process dairy products in the middle of the Mojave Desert. But I made that happen using Steve Jobs' secret weapon. And ever since that factory's been around, we've had record month after record month after record month in my company. So that's a great legacy that I created. And then most importantly, that year, using Steve Jobs' secret weapon, I was able to turn my marriage around. My wife and I had been together for 7 years. Things were rocky for us. We were tiptoeing around the issues like we were walking on eggshells. I don't know if you've ever lived in a relationship like that, but it's horrible. You're afraid to make a mistake because it's all going to blow up. Well, because I was using Steve Jobs' secret weapon, I was able to get us into counseling. We were able to turn things around. And last week, when my book was hitting #2 on Amazon's bestseller list, it was also our 10-year anniversary.
Oh,
So,
Woohoo!
congratulations.
hey,
Congratulations.
this Steve Jobs personal secret weapon works in your personal life. It works in your business life. It works in your spiritual life. You can use this secret weapon to accomplish anything. And that is the weapon that he talked about when he referred to his greatest tool that he ever used. He spoke about it in 2 paragraphs during his 2005 commencement address at Stanford University. It was about a year and a half after he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And he said the knowledge that he would be dead soon was the greatest tool that he ever used to accomplish things in his life, because it cuts out all the BS in your life and it helps you to identify what is truly important. I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what the man said. Knowing that you are going to be dead soon is what helps you to make clear-cut decisions in your life about what's important. And I find it gives you tremendous personal power, because I'll tell you what, I've been dreaming about a Rolex watch for a long time. Well, here's my Rolex watch. I got it last year while I was living last year of my life for the 3rd time. I said to my wife, man, I really want that Rolex watch. She said, well, it's the last year of your life, isn't it? What are you waiting for? And this is the kind of power that you get, the kind of clarity that you get to be able to make the clear decisions about what's really important to you and what's not. Now, this Rolex watch, is this really important to me? Yes, it is really important to me. I wear it every single day. It gives me a feeling of prosperity every single day. I've changed as a man. I'm a man who just casually wears a Rolex watch every single day. And I love it. 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 I have something that I love in my life every single day because I'm using Steve Jobs' secret weapon. And I would advise everybody to use the same exact secret weapon. And as we go through this lecture, this conversation tonight, which I'm dubbing my last lecture, I'm going to reveal not just Steve Jobs' secret weapon, but every single secret weapon that I have used in my 10-year career as an entrepreneur, every single secret weapon that I have learned as an author, as a best-selling author, as a writer who's been able to publish 3 books in the last 3 years, and 2 of which have become best-selling books. And as the new author of a new book called The Greatest Book of All Time. And I'm going to share all of these secrets with you tonight in this broadcast as my last lecture for entrepreneurs and authors.
Awesome. We are so excited, and we know that our viewers out there are just on the edge of their seat. You know, something that you shared with us is the fact that you've written 3 books, and you talk about the Wharton Business School. So for some of the folks out there that may not know what that is, can you share that with us?
Absolutely. Now, it's not surprising that a lot of people don't know about the Wharton Business School. When I first moved out to Los Angeles to pursue my dream of becoming a filmmaker and a movie star like my idol, Spike Lee, I moved out to LA and I was like, oh, I'm a graduate of the Wharton Business School. And nobody knew what the heck I was talking about. See, when I was 14 years old, I was reading a novel. And in the novel was the main character, who was this fabulous international business tycoon. And he was a graduate of something called the Wharton Business School. So being 14 years old, this was back in the 1970s, I climbed up to the top shelf of my bookcase where we had actual Encyclopedia Britannica books, actual books. And I pulled the book down with the letter W on it, and I cracked it open and blew the dust off of it. And sure enough, there it was, right on the page, the Wharton Business School. This was the most prestigious and famous and oldest business college in the world. And it turns out that this is where Donald Trump sent his kids and where he is a graduate of as well as Warren Buffett and Donnie Deutsch and a whole bunch of illustrious people who run the world or the business world anyway. So when I was 14, I set that inspirational goal for myself. I want to go to the best business school in the world. And what did I know? I was only 14 years old. I didn't know that there were going to be people there who would go on to become my friends and fraternity brothers, whose fathers had their names etched in the concrete of the buildings on the campus. I didn't have anybody with a name on the campus. I didn't have anybody who had donated money. I didn't have anybody who had been in my family who had gone to an Ivy League university. My dad went to Long Island University, and my mom went to an art school in New York. And so eh, a lot of people would have said, well, who are you to think that you could go to the Wharton Business School, the best business school in the world? But because I set that inspirational goal for myself, that's exactly what I made happen. Even though I love to sleep in the mornings, man, there's nothing I like better than sleeping in late on a Saturday morning. But when I was 14 years old, I decided I was going to Wharton. When I was 15, I was waking up at 8 o'clock on Saturday mornings to get on the subway so that I could study for the PSATs and the SATs at Kaplan's Test Prep at 9 o'clock in the morning. And it's a truly inspirational goal that will have the power to get you out of bed in the morning. That's the kind of goals that you need to set in your life. This is chapter 1 from my book, What They Teach You at the Wharton Business School, because Wharton taught me that when I was 14 years old.
Wow. And you have other folks that have graduated from that school. You have graduated from the same school, Donald Trump and all the other names that you mentioned. That's quite a lineage of folks. And it's very impressive. And I was one of those that had never heard of the Wharton School, the Wharton Business School. Now, being a graduate and you've gone through everything they have to offer, what are some of the entrepreneurial secrets you've learned from that experience of going through the Wharton Business School?
Okay. Number 1, I just told you, was to set inspirational goals. Number 2, this is so super important, and this is a primary directive for every single entrepreneur, and that is get the money. Get the money. Now, I'll illustrate this with a quick story. I've been the founder and president of the 5-Star Butter Company for over a decade now. And one of my customers has been with me since the very beginning. And one day, a couple of years ago, he called me up. And I violated principle number 1 of the Wharton Business School, which is to get the money. He calls me up. He says, hey, buddy, I got your money for you. He owed me over $6,000 at that point, and he's a cash customer. And I said, oh, man, I knew he was good for it. I've been doing business with him for about 8 years at the time, always paid his bills. And I said, oh, man, I'm busy today. Let me connect with you tomorrow. He's like, no problem. I'll be around all day. Just call me and come and get the money. So I call him the next morning, goes to voicemail. I call him in the afternoon, goes to voicemail. I get busy for the next couple days. I call him again on Friday, goes to voicemail. Long story short, it took me 6 weeks to get that money, that $6,000. Now, as you know, life in the 21st century, a lot of stuff happens really fast. Opportunities come up. I've gotten into real estate deals for less than $6,000 down. Turns out he took my $6,000 and got into a real estate deal with it. He bought a farm with one of his other suppliers. With my $6,000 as the down payment, he bought a farm. Do you think I benefit in any way from that farm? No, not at all. The motto is, when somebody says, I've got money for you, you need to go get that money. If they say, I've got money for you, you say, oh, really? I'll meet you in half an hour. What's convenient for you? Or, why don't we meet at the corner of 3rd and Broadway? Whatever you need to do, when they've got the money, get the money. Now, as far as the Wharton Business School is concerned, they call that the net present value of money. $1 today is worth more than $1 tomorrow. $1 today has no risk. $1 in your hand has no risk. $1 tomorrow, well, who knows what the risk is? Is it 5% risk? Is it an 80% risk? You don't know, but this is the foundation of the entire banking industry. This is the foundation and the reason why we have an interest rate built into a mortgage, because there's a risk involved. And that's why you need to go get that money as soon as possible. Now, there are other benefits to getting the money. When you go get the money, you are on top of your business. Now, one of my clients, Dylan Stewart, he's a Mac consultant called the Mac Whisperer. He wrote a nice review of my book and said, hey, just using Get the Money, I went to go get the money from one of my clients who called me up and said he had the money available. And just because I went there to get the money, I got another gig right out of it. Out of a $1,000 invoice that he went to collect, he billed another $600 on the spot because he rendered services that they needed right then. Getting the money and being on top of your money is a very, very powerful and important part of being an entrepreneur that I learned at the Wharton Business School. Here's another one that's not quite so obvious, that may be surprising. Came straight out of the Wharton Business School. Have lunch with people as often as you can. Life is about relationships, and there is no better relationship building experience than having lunch with people over and over and over and over again. Just a casual little lunch. When people are just casually eating a burger and fries, they're not thinking about how they're coming off. They're not thinking about putting on airs. They're not thinking about their agenda. They're just eating a burger and fries. And I have used this technique to build lifelong friendships, not just with people that I met at the Wharton Business School, like my friend John Favreau, who I had lunch with John Favreau almost every single day of freshman year. We lived across the hall from one another. We just went to lunch all the time at the cafeteria. I'll call him up today, and I will be able to talk with him as if not a day has passed since we've spoken last. And sometimes it's been years. And John Favreau is a business consultant, and he's helping me to put together a deal to sell my butter company for big money. So this relationship that I forged over lunches 25 years ago is the kind of dividends that you get when you eat lunch with a person every day. Now, I have a contractor who's one of my favorite guys. He's built 4 houses for me. He's in the process of building an apartment building for me right now. There was a 3-year period of time when I was obese. I was having burgers and fries with that guy almost every single day. And this is another aspect of that, and that is, if you have more money than the other person, or if you're their boss and you have an expense account, or if you can just afford to do it, it's great for you to treat the other person. Just be like, especially if you're the boss. If you're the boss, you should always be treating your employees to lunch. They'll just think the world of you, and it really sets up that hierarchy, like, I'm the boss, I'm going to pay for your lunch, and it really helps to establish who's in charge and who's the top dog, because it's always the top dog who's going to pay for the lunch. So having lunches with people is another great secret strategy of the Wharton Business School. And I'll give you one more. I mean, I have a whole book full of them, and that's what they teach you at the Wharton Business School. But I'll give you another one that's really important, and that is, this is a really key one. You will violate this one at your own peril. It's called the triplet rule. Now, the triplet rule was something that I learned in Miles Bass's entrepreneurial management class. Miles Bass was the consummate entrepreneur. He had 82 partners in business when I was a student at the Wharton Business School.
Wow.
All different companies, pizza companies, light bulb companies, tutoring companies. Man, the guy, it's really interesting. I sell butter to the casinos in Las Vegas. I sell little tiny portion control pieces of butter pats, some people call them. He sold city, very specialized niches that no one would ever think about. He sold the Cadillac of light bulbs. I sell the Cadillac of butter. It's very interesting the way this stuff works out. And it wasn't a conscious thing. It's not like I said, oh, I'm going to sell the Cadillac of butter because Miles sold the Cadillac of light bulbs. Not at all. Anyway, Miles Bass said, the triplet rule is this. Whatever you think it's going to take to do a project in terms of time and money, triple it. That's what it's really going to take. And you will violate the triplet rule at your own peril. If you are the baddest assed entrepreneur in the world, maybe you're going to get away with a doublet. But no matter what you do in this world, you are going to have delays and you're going to have cost overruns. And look at City Center in Las Vegas. City Center is an amazing creation by MGM Mirage Corporation, one of the greatest corporations in the entire gaming industry, and certainly a great leader in Las Vegas. And they built this whole city in Las Vegas. They had like 8 buildings going on. It was the largest private construction site in the world at the time. It went from, I think, $3.4 billion to $12 billion to construct that thing. A clear example of the triplet rule. Clear example. And as entrepreneurs, we always want to be optimistic. We always want to think, oh, I'm going to get that done in a week and it's going to cost nothing. Well, you are going to violate that triplet rule at your own peril. And a lot of times, if you don't have the cash reserves and the extra time built into the budget and the schedule, you'll go out of business by violating the triplet rule. And that was a real, actual question on the entrepreneurial management final exam. Explain the triplet rule.
That's
like
very
I just did for
interesting,
you.
Clint, because I was a software engineer for over 20 years, and we used the double it rule, basically, very down the same exact line, because exactly what you're saying, things happen, and you're not going to get it. You're not going to have that time 100% dedicated to the task that you're looking at. So you estimate it, you look at that estimate, and we would double it, and usually make it because we worked really hard. But the concept is very true. What you're saying, it's we put it in practice, and it actually works quite well. Now tripling it's probably even safer, so that you don't overrun a schedule when you're giving an estimate to, say, a client. But this is very good stuff. Very good.
Well, I can certainly see how it can be appropriate for the everyday entrepreneurs in our businesses. So I think it's a very valuable thing to make note of for the people that are out there watching. I don't know about you guys, but I think I'm going to try it and test it a time or two and see what happens. And I'll report back to you.
Well, the key thing is to not let the triplet rule bite you in the butt, especially monetarily. Especially like if you're mortgaging your house because you've just barely got enough money to make this project go, you don't have enough money. And you're going to lose your house because you failed to heed the triplet rule. So that's the real key thing right there.
Well, I got a question for you on that. We are, as entrepreneurs, we are always trying to think in a positive manner, keeping that positive mindset going forward. This is the exact opposite of that kind of mindset. How do you marry the two and make it work so that you're not bringing down your positive mindset by tripling what you think your goals are going to be? Because that's obviously a negative task in anyone's mind.
Well, it's just being realistic, and it's about being a good business person. And you have to, like I said, we as entrepreneurs, we are optimistic. We want to believe in the best case scenario, but you have to be realistic. The best case scenario doesn't always happen. And
Right.
In terms of keeping a positive attitude, the positive attitude comes when you've been an entrepreneur for a decade and you continue to be able to call your own shots and not have to work for the man. That's when you have the positive attitude. And whatever it takes to get there, that's just details. And yes, you have to always plan for contingencies. That's part of being a realistic and good business person.
Agreed.
Awesome. Well, something, and one of the many things that you're going to be sharing with us tonight, we started out with Steve Jobs' secret weapon, right? And we've talked about the Wharton Business School. And one of the other things that you mentioned was this was all about being your last lecture. So
Yeah.
it has something to do with the last year of your life.
That's right.
So what can you tell us about the all-encompassing last lecture?
Okay. The last lecture was a lecture given by a professor at Carnegie Mellon University named Randy Pausch. And it's gone on to become a New York Times best-selling book called The Last Lecture. What happened to Randy Pausch was almost the same thing that happened to Steve Jobs. He got cancer, and he only had a short time to live. And he announced that he was going to be doing this last lecture. And the money that he got from the book deal based on The Last Lecture, because The Last Lecture became this huge internet sensation, the money that he used from the book deal is now providing money. It's his legacy to take care of his wife and kids who went on to survive him. So I was very inspired by The Last Lecture. And after I lived the last year of my life the first time, when I did all those great things that I told you guys about, I said to my wife, I want to create thelastyearofyourlife.com and invite people from all around the world to live with this urgency and power like I got, because this experience was so amazing. And I want to lead people through this. And that's what I've done. I've gone on to create an international program, and with people all around the world living as if it's the last year of their lives. I've had people on oil platforms in the North Sea and people in North Dakota, South Dakota, every state of the union. And we all have one overriding context, and the context is that we're going to live that year as if it's the last year of our lives. Now, in order to do that, I had to amass all the different things that I have learned in my years in the personal transformation industry as a participant, as a student, as a leader, as a trainer. And this all came about because after I graduated from the Wharton Business School, I moved out to California to pursue my dream of becoming a filmmaker and a movie star like my idol Spike Lee. And after a decade of pursuing the Hollywood dream and banging my head against the brick wall of that ideal, it came to be New Year's Eve on the millennium, and I found myself driving a taxi cab to pay the bills. I'd been a cab driver for 5 years, and I was terrified I was never going to make it to be able to turn my life around. So I started doing all this self-help work that I could do. I walked on fire with Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins was standing right here. The giant himself was standing right there. And he said, "Do your power move." I did, yes. He said, "Stronger." And I did, yes. And then I walked across burning coals in my bare feet. I did Toltec wisdom studies with Don Miguel Ruiz himself, the author of the Four Agreements. I did Carlton Sheets and Rich Dad, Poor Dad, everything you could do. And all of that knowledge led me to the self-help circle where the man said, "You don't know it yet and you're already dead." All that period of time I've been doing self-help work. And so I brought all of that experience into the last year of your life transformation experience. And part of what I brought into it was this concept of the last lecture from Randy Pouch. Because in the process of all this, I never wanted to be a speaker. I never wanted to be an inspirational or motivational presenter. But as I went through all this transformation, that became something that became important to me. And I think that it's important to every person to become a great communicator. It's important to every person to become a great leader. It's important to every person to have compassion for themselves and others. These are some of the topics that are in the last year of your life experience. But this idea of becoming a great speaker, I thought it was so important that I dedicate an entire week to that process. And I have every participant in the program give their own last lecture in which they can transfer whatever wisdom that they have learned to the people who are listening. It just feels so great. And it's such a great experience to look back over your life and say to yourself, what have I really learned? What do I really know? What can I really offer? What do I have to share with the people I care about and with humanity? And that's what the last lecture is all about. And that's what tonight's broadcast is all about. I'm expecting to give out every single thing that I know about how to succeed as an entrepreneur and how to succeed as an author in the time that we have allotted, which is 1 hour.
Well, I got to tell you this. I love what you say. For entrepreneurs, anything is possible. I love that. I mean, that's so powerful. But before we move on, one of our viewers, Jean, somebody who I've met through Brian, we're so happy to have Jean on tonight. He would like to ask you, Clint, how did you come up with the concept for the Alive, the A.L.I. Alive? How did you come up with that concept? The Alive concept.
Oh, we lost his audio there for a moment.
Am I back on?
There we go. You're back.
Okay, I'm sorry. I missed the question from Jean.
Jean was asking, how did you come up with the Alive concept?
Oh, the Alive concept. Well, the Alive concept is what we all need to do to become alive. A is awareness that life is precious, that we quite possibly have been walking around like a zombie, like I had been for years. Allowing myself to become obese, that was true zombie-like behavior at its most obvious. And we need to be aware that we have a limited amount of time on this earth and that this could indeed be the last year of our lives. Hey, in 2010, the youngest participant in the last year of your life experience was 33 years old. And he went to bed on October 28th. And 7 days later, I was speaking at his funeral. 33 years old. Just because you're a participant in the last year of your life, it doesn't mean you're even going to make it all the way through. People die every single day. And so awareness is the very most important and first key to being alive. L is letting go of your mistakes. Once you realize that you have probably wasted years of your life in zombie-like behavior, not paying attention, not treating everything that is in your life as precious, you're going to want to beat yourself up. You're going to feel like a fool. I know I did. But beating yourself up doesn't do any good. You have to let go of the past mistakes. Stop focusing on what you did wrong and start focusing on what you want to bring into your life. So let go of the past and move on to the I, which is inspire yourself with inspirational goals. That's what you need to be focusing on. not the past, but the inspirational goals that are going to get you out of bed in the morning, that are going to excite you, and that are going to inspire you to create amazing things like I've been inspired to create the greatest book of all time, which we're going to talk about later. And then there is the V, visualizing. How do you make your dreams come true? You have to visualize how to make them come true. You have to see in your mind's eye how to get from where you are to where you want to be. I was doing a pre-interview on a radio station in Boston, WBZ, a huge radio station. And the producer goes, well, Clint, according to your theory, like, I've always wanted to go to the pyramids. So you're saying I should just get on a plane and go to the pyramids? And I said, that's exactly right, Bradley J. You should go to the pyramids if you've always wanted to do it. What are you saving the frequent flyer miles for? 2 weeks later, I got a postcard from Bradley J. at the pyramids, realizing his dream. He visualized how to get on a plane from Boston to Egypt and then get to the pyramids. That's what you've got to do. And then E is energize. You need to have enough energy to accomplish your goals. And I'm talking about three-dimensional energy. You need physical energy. You need to get enough nutrition and enough exercise and enough sleep so that you've got the physical energy. You need to have mental energy. You have to stimulate your brain with knowledge and with good conversation and with ideas that are going to give you positive energy. And then there's spiritual energy. You have to be around people who have the same positive outlook and spirit as you. You can't be around people who are going to be saying, you're never going to make that happen. Nobody ever gets out of this town. You're never going to realize your dreams. You're just a dreamer. You got to cut those people out of your life and stay with the people who have positive spiritual energy, who are going to help you to achieve your goals and your spiritual energy that you need. And that is how you come alive. And I came up with that through years of work in this whole concept of the last year of your life. I've been working it and perfecting it now for 4 years.
Wow. Well, Gene Stump, thank you for asking that question. That was very inspirational in its own right. I mean, we're talking about the last year of your life. Clint Arthur is giving his last lecture, and he just described the steps in Alive, and it keeps getting better. I didn't expect that one. That was awesome. Before we go any further, though, we'd like to direct your attention to the handsome mug of Clint Arthur that's beneath us right now as we're doing this live on CelebrityCreators.com. If you're watching the recording, he will be above us, but don't do this very moment. But what you want to do as soon as this broadcast is over, and it's not long, it's only about a half hour away, click right on his nose, right there, right on his nose, and that will take you to his Facebook page. Get connected with Clint. He's a really great guy, very nice, very friendly, very open, as you can tell just by listening to him tonight. We're just having a little sit down over the coffee table, talking, having a chat, and he's just dispelling these nuggets of wisdom. In addition to that, beneath us is a graphic image of his book, which is The Last Year of Your Life. Now, you definitely want to click on that. That will take you to a website. I believe you have an opt-in form there. Is that correct, Clint, where they can get some information prior to purchasing? The book is, oh my gosh, you can only imagine. The Last Year of Your Life. That's,
Yes.
it's too much for me to handle. Go there,
Well,
click on
look,
that link.
this is what you get when you click on that book cover. It'll take you to lastyearofyourlife.com. And at lastyearofyourlife.com, you can opt in and get 3 free training videos on how to really come alive in the next year of your life or any year of your life. It'll share some inspirational stories in the second video of people who have done this process for themselves, regular people like you and me. And the third one is how to plan for an inspirational year. How do you create a plan that's going to get you jumping out of bed in the morning? You're so inspired. And that's the third training video that I give you. And they're all free training videos. And then after that, if you want to go deeper, there's an opportunity for you to find out about the Last Year of Your Life online membership program, which is the 52-week experience of living as if it's the last year of your life, which is Steve Jobs' secret weapon, living as though it's going to be the last year of his life.
I love it.
And we have, by the way, an anonymous comment for you that says, "Oh, Clint, so handsome."
Oh, thank you. That's very
It's
nice.
anonymous, so I don't know who it came from.
All right.
One thing...
Well, Murray, I appreciate that.
Hey, one thing a lot of people may not be aware of, Clint, and this is how Kathy and I first met you and discovered what you are all about. Not what you're all about, but a lot of things you've been doing. But Clint Arthur has appeared on numerous television shows, and he's actually an expert in getting other folks onto television shows to help promote their book, product, what have you. He can take you by the hand step by step and show you how to do that. Now we have a very short clip if you want to set this up, Clint, and then we'll go into the TV side of things.
Well, as an author, this is part of the secret power that I use to become a best-selling author. And it's also part of the secret power that I've used to become a much better speaker and salesperson and a much better father and husband and just a person. And that is by learning how to book myself onto local TV news interviews all across America. And I'm proud to say I just this past week booked myself onto news interviews in Dallas and Los Angeles.
Wow.
And those are two of the top 5 markets, which is really incredible, especially in light of the fact that I booked those shows without even speaking to anybody. I just sent out an email.
Wow.
And when you get to be experienced in how to do this like I am and like my students become, you can create the video assets which will support the email, because what you do is you send out the email and then in there's a link to your press page where you have a whole bunch of video clips of you on other TV shows, and then the producer will, if they like your email, they'll click through and watch you on video. Once they see you on video on another big station, they're like, oh, this guy's good, and then boom, how would you like to be on our show on December 20th in Los Angeles? And that's what happens. So these are some of the shows that I've been on, and this is a presentation that I use at the beginning of my talks when I talk about how to book yourself onto local TV news.
All right, let's cut to it right now.
This is our new best friend here, Clint Arthur.
Arthur, you're the best.
Now those went by so fast I couldn't count, but I'm sure there are far more than that you have appeared on.
There are. I've been on 33 shows so far. I've got 2 more lined up. And a couple of things there. I didn't tell them to say, this is our new best friend here. You probably saw me chuckle when he said that. I was like, what? But, you know, I've been on that station now 8 times. That's Fox 5 San Diego. I've been on there 8 times. And, man, to get on Fox 5 San Diego ain't easy. They are a very high demand station because of their proximity to Los Angeles. They get guests like last time I was there, they had Nicolas Cage as a guest. I met Dave Koz, the musician.
Oh, cool.
And
yes.
I met a New York Times bestselling author named Stephanie Ashcraft. Lots of people go down to San Diego because it's so close to LA. If they get onto LA, they want to promote in San Diego. So that's one thing. It's very important. Here's another very important topic. When I got my first booking on a TV show, I remember thinking, I had hired a publicist, and I said, this is also came straight out of Living the Last Year of Your Life, the first time. When I set up that international program online, I called up a publicist. I said, I want you to try and book me on Good Morning America. I got to bring this technology. This was such an amazing experience. I want to share this with the world. A week later, she calls me back. Good Morning America is not interested in you. You're nobody. You're a middle-aged guy. You don't have a book. You've never been on television. I can't show them any tape. They're not going to put you on Good Morning America. I said, all right, well, how about like local news in New York or LA? I live in New York and LA. I have homes in both cities. I'm local. How about booking me on there? A week later, New York and LA is not interested in you. You're a middle-aged guy. You don't have a book. You're not famous. You're not a movie star. You're nobody. I said, this was the big shift. I said, all right, what about like small cities? All right, like I looked on the Southwest Airlines route map. I found some places that were close to LA. It was wintertime. I was in LA. So how about Phoenix, Salt Lake City, and Sacramento? Those were $49 flights. And she's like, those I think we can do. And I remember I got the email from her. It says, congratulations, you've been booked on ABC 15 in Phoenix. And I thought, really? Who would want to put me on the news? I'm a middle-aged guy. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a movie star. I don't have a book. I'm not famous. I've never been on television. They really want to put me on the news? You know what? They want to put people on the news. if you have an interesting point of view or perspective or something interesting to talk about, and you can get yourself presented to them in a way in which they believe that you're going to be a credible guest, they will put you on the news in smaller markets. And so I did the first 4 interviews, and I had to pay that publicist $6,000 for 4 little interviews on those cities. And at the end of it, I was looking at these clips with my wife, and I was thinking, man, it's a good thing I wasn't on Good Morning America, because I'm really not that good. And I really need to be good. I'm going to be a huge best-selling author one day. I need to be good at being on television. I need to do a lot more of these shows. And she's like, not for $6,000 for every 4 of them, you're not. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to learn how to book myself on these shows. And that's what I did. I learned how to create what I call a segment proposal, because people think, oh, I'll send out a press release, I'll get booked on the news. That's BS. The press release ain't going to do nothing for you. You need a segment proposal, which is basically a 1-page outline of what you are going to do in your segment, in your 4 to 5 minutes on the news. Exactly what you're going to do, what props you're going to have, what costume you're going to wear, if there's going to be any celebrities involved in it in any way, if there's a timely tie-in, if there is a pop cultural tie-in. I just taught you a ton of stuff in the last 30 seconds about how to book yourself on the news if you've been paying attention. These are big, big, big high-level secrets that I just said. And you need to create that segment proposal in a way that conveys all the information and provides the producer with your cell phone number so they can call you up and book you, or your email address so they can reach you easily, and has your media contact page so that they can look at clips of you, either YouTube clips or other clips of you on other news shows. And so I got so good at it, I booked myself onto 33 shows over the last 18 months, and then I started teaching my friends and business associates how to do it. And then I put together a little training program. I have an 8-disc set. It's called New TV Power. And when you learn how to book yourself onto local TV news, that's what you get. You get new power in your life as an entrepreneur and as an author and as a person and as a husband or wife or father or just a person in the world. You get all kinds of personal, professional, and spiritual superpowers bestowed upon you as a result of the fact that you are going on television and you are watching all of your flaws week after week, month after month. You're seeing, I saw that I put my hands in my pockets. Well, now I use safety pins and safety pin my pockets closed, so I can't put my hands in my pockets anymore to break that habit.
Yeah.
All right, so I was talking about how my daughter's really into fashion. And at that point, this was 2 summers ago, I had only done about 8 shows. And I invited her to go to Europe with me to go see the fashion shows in Paris, and she did not want to go. Wow. Now, fast forward to this spring. This is about a year later. I had done an additional 25 shows. And I had really changed as a person. And I invited her to go with me to New York to go listen to some operas and go see some museums. And we went to New York, and we spent a week together in the city, and we had a great time. I remember she said to our family counselor, we had so much freaking fun in New York City together. So I really attribute a lot of my personal growth to having become a great guest on television, because it helped me to really see a lot of my flaws and become much more than I was. Like they say, it's not the $1 million that you earn. It's what you become in the process of earning the $1 million. Wow. And it's not the 33 shows that I've done. It's who I've become and what I've become in the process of booking myself and becoming an expert guest on 33 shows.
You know, I'm going to speak for both Brian and I, because we haven't known you long, right? But it's almost like we can see the transformation that you have experienced and gone through because of the way that you explain it, but the energy that you emit when you talk about from whence you came, and all of the processes that you went through to come to where you are now. But it's interesting and exciting to know that this is your 3rd time of working on the last year of your life. and how you still hold that same passion and excitement for living each moment and everything that you come in contact with and encounter to its fullest. Not just the people that you come in contact with, like as business acquaintances or people that you meet, but what you do within your own family. You are extremely, extremely inspiring.
Thank you. This is actually the fourth time I'm wrapping it up. I'll be starting the fifth one on December 21st, which is the first day of the last year of the Mayan calendar, which is an amazing thing if you think about it. Over 5,000 years ago, the Mayans charted the heavens to come up with their own calendar, which lasted over 5,000 years long. And here we are, bum, ba, bum, ba, ba, just walking down the street in 2011, and it just so happens that the Mayan calendar is coming to an end. A 5,000-year span is ending, and the first day of that last year begins on December 21st, 2011. And so I will be beginning my fifth and final incarnation of the last year of my life. I have no expectation to live the last year of my life after that, not with groups anyway. I will probably continue to do it on my own because it's so personally rewarding, but it's a tremendous expenditure of energy to lead teams of people in living the last year of their lives. The weekly responsibility of having to show up at those meetings week after week after week is a lot. So I just want to say one more thing about television, and that is, remember, when I was at the beginning, I used to say, who am I to be booking myself on television? Who am I to get booked on television? I was just a middle-aged guy with no book and no fame and nothing. And if I could do it, anybody can do it. And if you think I look the same today as I did then, you're mistaken. I'm a totally different person today than I was then, a much better person. And anybody can have these personal transformations as a result of becoming a great guest on television news programs. And if you want to do that for yourself, please check out 3 free training videos at freetvpublicity.com. That's www.free, as in it costs nothing, TV, as in what you're going to be on, publicity, as in what you're going to do for your company or your book or whatever, .com, freetvpublicity.com. Please check out the training. It's awesome. So thank you very much for complimenting me about my energy and stuff. It is a truly inspiring experience to know every morning that you are living the final December 6th of your life, potentially. And really, it really could be the last December 6th of your life. We don't know. Like that kid, Wes White, 33 years old, went to bed on October 28th and did not wake up. And he wasn't expecting to die. He was only 33 years old, the youngest guy in the program. But the best part is that he was really going for it in his life up until then. He was living full out with passion. He was participating in the last year of his life experience and was trying to make things happen, and he didn't have to feel like he was just stuck with inertia like so many people are or just sleepwalking through their lives. He was really going for it, and I'm glad. I mean, you know, how do you want to go out, right? I remember, I think my grandmother said, when I die, I want to be in bed with 2 college guys with my boots on or something like that. Okay.
Go, Grandma.
How do you want to go out? What do you want to be doing? Do you want to be fully engaged in your life, or do you want to be sitting back waiting for next time? There's so many people out there, unfortunately, because of circumstances, because of the economy, because of the changing job market, because of the housing market, looking or taking or accepting excuses in their lives, when really, man, when they announced that the recession was over, I was like bumming, because I was so killing it during the recession. Because, I mean, you'll see one of my clips is how to make more money because of the lousy economy. Yeah. And the reason is because everybody's so bummed out. Everyone's complaining and blaming it on the economy instead of trying to do something about it. And that's what life is really all about. It's about saying, hey, I am not only going to try to do something about it, I'm going to just pretend like there's no turning back. I'm going to do everything I want to do because this is the last year of my life, and it's time for me to have the best time I ever had. It's time for me to accomplish everything on my bucket list. It's time for me to create a legacy for my life, for my family, for humanity. personally, professionally, spiritually, whatever that means, and in every one of those modalities, to do it all in 1 year's time. That's what living the last year of your life is really all about. And I really hope that people who are hearing this message and my last lecture, I mean, I've really shared so many of my secrets. And before I wrap this up, I got to share one more secret that's so important for entrepreneurs. It's not from the Wharton Business School. Well, it is from the Wharton Business School. They say at the Wharton Business School, and they teach you to use the top technology. Here we were in 1984. I was in a computer lab with Macintosh computers in 1984, learning how to do Excel spreadsheets on the cutting edge computers. They teach you how to use the top technology, and they expect you to use it. And that translates right now to 2011, December 6th. You have to use the top technology. You have to use it. It's not enough to just have the top technology. When this phone rings, I answer this phone. I don't care if I know who's calling or not. I'm not hiding from any bill collectors. I pay my bills. And if you are hiding from bill collectors, and a bill collector calls you, just hang up, okay? But you got to answer the phone, because you never know when it's going to be a customer who wants to give you money. Like, for example, a couple of months ago, the phone rang, some weird area code I never saw before. I answered the phone. Hello, this is Clint. Hey, Clint, I don't know if you remember me. This is Chef Tegan. I used to work at Nero's at Caesar's Palace. Now I'm running a casino in Ohio, and I want to bring your product into the casino. Bam, $7,000 sale because I answered my phone. On April 21st of this year, this phone rang. I was driving to dinner with that contractor. Remember I told you about the contractor who built 4 houses? I took him to lunch every day. I was taking him to dinner for his birthday at one of the nicest restaurants in LA. My favorites is called Bottega Louie, an awesome place. And I was taking him there for a steak dinner. At 7:54 p.m., my phone rings as I'm driving him downtown. I literally look at the number and say, who the heck is calling me from this weird area code? Hello, this is Clint. Hey, Clint, it's Lisa from the Coast to Coast radio show with George Noory. I'm wondering if you could go on at 10 for an hour. Well, thank you so much for thinking of me, Lisa. Of course, I would be delighted to go on with George for an hour. The next day, The Last Year of Your Life was number 6 on Amazon.
Nice.
Beautiful.
That's what happens as an entrepreneur or as an author when you put your cell phone number on everything and you send it out and you answer your phone. And you use the top technology to get ahead in your life. You can achieve bestseller status as an author. You can increase sales even during the toughest economic times. You must be able to connect with the people out there in the world, whether you know them or not. There's a whole module in The Last Year of Your Life experience on the importance of creating genuine connections with strangers. And I've been doing interviews with people about connecting with strangers recently. Man, what a powerful topic that is. There is a video embedded in the greatest book of all time, and I want to talk about that in a moment. I know we're running out of time, but I really want to talk about that.
Okay.
There's a video in there of this man I know named Tom Garson, and he told me how he met a man on the beach in Ensenada. The guy lived in a trailer on the beach. He struck up a conversation with this stranger and became friends with him. Turned out the guy was one of the great architects in America. He designed 2 houses for Tom Garson. Today, Tom Garson lives in his dream house, designed by the guy living in the trailer on the beaches of Baja, Mexico.
Wow.
All because he struck up a conversation and connected with a stranger. There's another audio interview by an amazing woman named Kim Hodis. Wow. She has 2 interviews in the greatest book of all time. And she talks about how she received a chicken scratch handwritten letter from an obviously old man saying, hey, little lady, I'd love to see some samples of your jewelry. At the time, she had $18,000 a year in jewelry sales that she was making off her kitchen table as her entrepreneurial startup business in the 4th year of her company.
Wow.
She went and met that stranger, and within 12 months, he had helped her to increase her sales to over $600,000.
Wow.
Because she connected with a stranger. Man,
Love it.
when people call you, even if you don't know what the number is or who's calling you, you got to answer the phone. That is so important. Now, I know we've got to wrap things up. I want to talk about the greatest book of all time. For those of you who are on this call right now, I got to say, you are in luck because the greatest book of all time was inspired by Muhammad Ali. He claimed that he was the greatest fighter of all time, and he became the greatest fighter of all time. And I had this idea. I was telling somebody about my book, The Last Year of Your Life, and how I had embedded audio links and video links in my book. And I was at a conference this past weekend, and I was telling some people about it, and I was like, this is the greatest book of all time. And they said, you should just call it the greatest book of all time. And so I really said, wow, what can I do to make sure that this is the greatest book of all time? The writing is already awesome. I studied creative writing with Frank McCourt, Pulitzer Prize winner, the greatest living writer of my lifetime anyway. And I did everything he said to do in our creative writing class. It's personal, it's honest, it's revealing. And it's an amazing piece of nonfiction work. Perhaps the best thing I've ever written, and perhaps the greatest writing of all time. But in addition to the writing, I have embedded links to audio files. There is at least one audio file for every single week of the 52-week personal transformation experience of living as if it's the last year of your life. And there is at least one video with a link embedded in the Kindle. This is a Kindle book that you can only get on Kindle right now.
Nice.
And it's called The Greatest Book of All Time. And the normal price for this book is $97. And at $97, it's a bargain. It includes over 65 hours of audio and video training on how to go for it and live all out and get the most out of every aspect of personal transformation that I cover in the last year of your life experience. And at $97, it's a true bargain. But right now, it is December 6th at 7 o'clock, and you have 72 hours in which to buy as many copies as you want, for whatever friends that you want, for only 99 cents. And that will give you the experience of living the last year of your life. And it will give you a true eye into the whole last year of your life experience. There are other ways you can do it. There are live events. And if you want to find out about the live events, you're going to have to go to lastyearofyourlife.com in order to do it. But right now, if you're smart, you will go and grab a copy for yourself, and you will gift this Kindle book to as many friends as you have. And here's a real special opportunity of it all. Amazon allows you to schedule delivery of that Kindle book whenever you want in the future. So I suggest that you schedule it for delivery on December 21st, 2011, which is the first day of the last year of the Mayan calendar, and send it along with a little note. Here's an early Christmas present to get you in the spirit of living what could be the last year of all of our lives. Now, at that point, December 21st, the book will be a $97 book on Amazon because I'm raising the price in 72 hours from now. It's going to be a $97 book. Now, if you were to buy 100 copies for all of your friends, not only would I give you 2 tickets to my live event as a thank you gift, but you would accomplish $9,700 worth of Christmas shopping for only 99 bucks. Now, imagine that. I know it's tough economic times. It's one of the reasons why I'm trying to help out. That's my motto. I like to help out whenever I can. And part of what I'm trying to do is to help people to get into the last year of their life and experience it, and experience the greatest book of all time for hardly anything. And to help their friends to bring in, I'm trying to create a worldwide movement, and I would appreciate your help in creating this worldwide movement of people who are aware that life is precious, that our relationships with the people who are closest to us are truly precious, that the work that we do is important, and that we need to express ourselves freely and without fear, and that all of this is only possible for the shortest, briefest period of time. When you're living the last year of your life, when you're living on this earth, it's as if you're a matchstick. And when that match burns out, that's your life. That's how it compares to the great expanse of time. And there's a whole, I use that metaphor in the book when I'm explaining the meaning of life. You will learn what the meaning of life truly is and how to discover your true purpose in life. And there's so many amazing audios in there, like one I recorded today on how to use yoga to connect with your soulmate, how to manifest your soulmate through yoga. Unbelievable, amazing thing, because so many women who do this experience have told me they want to bring their soulmate into their life. And you can't do it by saying, I'm going to do it this year. You have to do it by developing who you are as a person. And yoga is a way that you can do it. And I've got this amazing yoga master who will explain how to do this, because he did it in his life too. There are so many great things, but at the very least, you should save a bundle over $9,600 in shopping for Christmas gifts and send it to all your friends. And as a gift, I will send you 2 tickets to my live event in Las Vegas, January 27, 28, and 29. You will see the yoga master at that event. I'll be there. Many of my friends who are great, amazing speakers will be there. Glenn Morshower, the guy on CSI and 24, he is going to be a speaker there. He is an amazing speaker. And there will be many, many amazing things. It will be an amazing personal transformation experience, all because you had the wisdom and foresight to be on this call, to find out about Steve Jobs' secret weapon, and are smart enough to invest 99 cents in your future with the greatest book of all time.
Love it.
Awesome. I've got to tell you, it's like, woo, you were right down to the wire. I want to do a shout out here. Oftentimes our guest will offer something. Brian and I had no idea that you were going to gift our viewers with this. Had no idea. I'm excited just about the nuggets that you put in for us earlier, just talking. I hope people were writing fast and furious when you were sharing the information about how to get on a TV show. I mean, people pay a lot of money for that. Thank you so much for sharing that with our viewers. For the $97 book, which, by the way, I know you're selling it for 99 cents. It's more like a $997 book. It is chock full. I've had the privilege of looking at some of the material, chock full with information. Absolutely fabulous. We are so excited to have connected with you and bring you to our show where you could share all of this vast, rich knowledge and experience and inspiration with our viewers. Thank you so much. I'm not going to take any more time. Brian, back to you.
My goodness, that was an hour, and that could have been an entire weekend event. You crammed so much great stuff, and I was on the edge of my seat. I'm not going to go to sleep tonight. This is good stuff. And for those of you that think, hey, don't cheapen the fact that he just offered a book for 99 cents. Go get as many copies as you can. Can you imagine? Get 100 of those, and then you get to show up at his event with Glenn Morshower and other prominent speakers, such as Clint Arthur, by the way, who's been on TV so many times you can't even count on your hands and feet. I can imagine what that would be like with Clint Arthur in person. We've seen him on stage at Author 101 just recently. Dynamic, energetic, as you can tell. Clint, we cannot thank you enough for coming on and sharing this hour with us and our viewers. You've been a blessing to us and to everyone who's watching. If you're watching this as a recording, you're being blessed as well, because it's already over. I can't say you're gonna be blessed, but thanks again, Clint. It's been absolutely wonderful.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you for this opportunity to be able to give my last lecture for entrepreneurs and authors.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you much. We will see you all again next week. We have another fantastic show. Be sure to tune in. Bye-bye for now.
Good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.